Mile marker 0. The wide desert highway stretched endlessly across the American Southwest like a black scar cutting through the earth. Not even the moon had bothered to rise. The sky was a suffocating void, a ceiling of ink. 4 friends, Ava, Mark, Jenna, and Chris, were on their annual road trip, a tradition started back in college, long before any of them believed in curses or signs or roads that fed on the lost. They were heading west toward California, the final stretch of a 3-day drive, when the strange things began. It started with a single flicker. The GPS's blue route line spasmed, glitched, and replaced their path with a single instruction: continue straight. Nothing else. No estimated arrival time, no distance marker. Ava frowned at the screen. This isn't normal. It's not even giving us a road name. Mark kept his eyes on the dark road. Maybe we lost service. Jenna added, maps don't glitch this way. Chris leaned forward. Guys, the desert shouldn't be this dark, right? Where are the stars? No one answered. The world outside the windows felt too wide, too empty, as if something had scooped the desert clean. They drove for another 20 minutes in silence, until they passed the first sign. A rusted road sign appeared in the headlights. Mile marker 0. Chris let out a confused laugh. We didn't start at 0, right? We're, 300 miles from Las Cruces? Mark shrugged. Probably an old sign. Yet 10 minutes later, another sign appeared. Mile marker 0. Ava's voice cracked. No, that's the same one. It has the same bullet hole in the corner. Jenna swallowed. Dice, the GPS says we've been recalculating for the last 15 minutes. The highway stretched ahead, straight as a blade, but something had shifted. The air outside looked thicker, almost grainy, like static in an old TV. Let's just keep going, Mark said, but even he didn't sound convinced. The man appeared suddenly on the right shoulder, illuminated just long enough by the headlights to freeze their breath. He was standing perfectly still, head tilted, as if waiting. Half of his face was scraped away, not torn by an animal, scraped, like he had been dragged across the road for miles. Ava's hand shot out to grip Mark's arm. Don't slow down. I'm not. As they passed, the man's one remaining eye followed them, moving too slowly, too deliberately. His jaw hung loose, swinging like a broken pendulum. Jenna whispered, he's mouthing something. And then the GPS spoke with a new voice. Do not turn around. They didn't. For the next hour, or what felt like an hour, they drove without seeing another car, another sign, another landmark. The world outside had flattened into a featureless stretch of black. It didn't feel like nighttime. It felt like nothing. Jenna checked her phone again. Still no signal. Chris checked the speedometer. Okay, weird. The fuel gauge hasn't moved. Ava glanced down. The odometer was frozen at 214,793 miles, the same as it had been before they passed mile marker 0 the first time. That's when the radio turned on. Static. Then a woman's voice cut through, trembling, terrified. If anyone can hear this, you're on the loop. You can't leave if you stop. You can't. Something crashed in the background, wood splintering, metal bending. The woman screamed. It knows you're there. Don't stop. Don't. The transmission ended with a wet, cracking sound. The radio went dead. Ahead, a rusted sign slowly rose into view. Mile marker 0. Ava's breath hitched. How is this happening? Chris whispered. There's something on the side of the road. A shape. Tall. Too tall. Standing motionless as they passed. Around midnight, If midnight even existed here anymore, the desert vanished. The asphalt beneath them remained, but everything beyond the guardrails dissolved into pitch black, like the edges of the world had been swallowed. The GPS, still glowing, showed and repeated the same word: straight, straight, straight. Suddenly, headlights appeared behind them, small, yellow, flickering. A motorcycle. "Finally, someone else on the road," Chris exhaled. But as the vehicle drew closer, they saw there was no rider. Only a rusted motorcycle coasting forward on its own, the handlebars twisted and stained dark, as if someone's hands had once gripped too hard. The bike followed them relentlessly for several miles before veering off into the black, without ever slowing down. Jenna whispered, "I don't want to be here anymore." They didn't notice him in the back seat at first. The air felt colder, heavy enough to sting their lungs, the windows fogged from the inside. Jenna rubbed the glass and froze. A reflection. A man sitting behind Jenna. A police officer, or what was left of one. His head was rotated completely backward, staring at her with an upside-down smile. "Roads closed. Closed a long time." Jenna screamed and shoved herself against the door. The car swerved violently. Mark lost control. And then, everything went black.
Ava woke up gasping. Everything looked normal. Too normal. The car was parked on the side of the highway, as if they had pulled over for snacks. Everyone else sat in their seats, blank-eyed, breathing shallowly. The GPS calmly blinked. Route recalculated. Continue straight. Ava's shaken fingers reached for the door handle. It didn't budge. None of the doors did. The engine started on its own. The steering wheel turned on its own. The car pulled back onto the road on its own. Ava sobbed, "Guys, wake up, please!" Their faces didn't change. Up ahead, the headlights found a familiar sign waiting for them like a grinning omen. Mile marker 0. Footsteps echoed behind the car again. Heavier this time. More of them. Dozens. Something whispered right beside Ava's ear. "The road remembers you." The car accelerated, and the loop continued. Time dissolved. They drove for minutes, hours, days. Ava didn't know anymore. The others faded in and out of consciousness, trapped in some waking sleep. Outside the windows, shapes followed. Human silhouettes. Broken animals crawling on backward legs. Hands reaching from the dark. The road fed on them. Every fear, every scream, every mile of hopelessness. The loop was alive. It had been waiting. At some point, Ava noticed her reflection in the window didn't match her movements anymore. It was slower, lagging behind, eyes dilated, mouth smiling too wide. Her reflection whispered, "Soon, you'll walk the roadside too." Ava stopped looking at the glass after that. Mark finally woke, but he wasn't Mark. His eyes were solid black, reflecting nothing. "Don't fight it," he whispered. "The loop takes us all eventually." He reached for the wheel. Ava slapped his hands away, crying, "Don't touch me!" Mark tilted his head, bones cracked in his neck. He smiled. And then the car hit something, hard. It threw all 4 of them forward, into darkness. Ava woke up, lying on cold asphalt. Morning light, real sky, real desert. She sat up, sobbing with relief. Their car was parked perfectly on the shoulder, undamaged. Birds chirped, a distant truck honked. The world was normal again. Jenna Mark and Chris lay unconscious nearby. Ava crawled to Jenna first. "Wake up, Jenna, please!" Jenna stirred, blinked. "Ava? Where?" Mark and Chris woke next, confused and dizzy, but alive. They all stood together on the side of a perfectly normal highway. Ava's phone buzzed, signal restored. Chris checked the GPS. "It's working again. We're 20 miles from a town." They hugged, cried, laughed. They were safe. Until Mark froze. "Ava!" She turned. His voice trembled. "The sign!" A rusted mile marker stood a few feet ahead. Mile marker 1. Ava exhaled shakily. Good, that's normal. That means the loop is behind us." Mark didn't answer. He stared harder. Ava stepped closer. Her stomach dropped. Someone had scratched something into the rust beneath the number. A single word. Again. And far down the road behind them, carried on the morning wind, the sound of footsteps, slow, heavy, coming closer.